What's going on, Button Mashers? I'm Mr. Gamer.
And I'm Kitty the Vol.
And welcome to episode 21 of SBRReports, Daily Mail and the Disastrous Dirt Piece. Woo! This is going to be a fun one. So we're going to start light with actually pretty good news. Hopefully, maybe, kind of.
For somebody.
Yeah, for somebody. So, for the first time, Nintendo is bringing major Mario and Zelda games to the Android device. But be forewarned, it's not exactly what you think. The games will only be available on the NVIDIA Shield console. And just like Mario Run and that not so good game, I don't necessarily have high hopes for this as well. Right now, there's only going to be a handful of the Wii games available. You have Super Mario Galaxy, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, New Super Mario Bros., and Punch-Out! Mind you, it's not as if you will be downloading these video games. They have to be streamed. So you know what that means. You must have online all the time. Just like with Super Mario Run. Does anyone still play that? I think it has like 3.2 stars or something like that on Google Play.
I mean, I'm pretty sure at this point everybody is either going back to Pokemon Go because Gen 3 is released or is playing Animal Crossing.
I suppose. Well, for those people who don't own the NVIDIA Shield, it's about $225 in China, and the Wii games themselves cost about $10. Now, I haven't exactly done the math, but considering the fact that you could just get all these games for who knows how cheap at GameStop, considering how old these things are, I don't really know if it's going to be the biggest thing for them to be available on Android. I mean, it's nice that they're available on another platform. Like that's good, but I'm not really seeing such a real strong appeal or anything like that.
I don't see it being strong in America. Maybe in other countries.
I mean, it is
China.
It is China,
so it might be very popular there. I don't see it coming super popular.
Popular?
Popular. I was thinking of popular. Okay, anyway. But yeah, no, I don't see it being popular in the Western world.
But I do know what will be popular in the Western world. A brand new Portal game coming.
Let's go!
Coming to the Nintendo Switch. But, not exactly. So an article that was written on express.co.uk talked about a new Portal game coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, it's not a port of the original game or anything like that, unfortunately. But it's called Bridge Constructor Portal. So from what I can tell, it's literally you are the Aperture Science guys, little genderless figurines, and you have to take I'm going to assume some sort of construction vehicle across a particular platform. It uses the goo from there. So, you have speedy gloop and you have the gloop that makes you bounce, and you essentially try to get to one side of the area. Now, obviously, it's not going to be a full form Portal game, because this still is on the Nintendo Switch, but it does look pretty good. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
It's cute.
It does. Like I would pay less than AAA money for this video game.
Like $15.
Yeah.
$20 max.
Yeah. Well, that will be coming to us spring 2018. Along with Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 and the Mega Man Legacy Collection. I still have a little bit of Mighty Number 9 in my head, so I gotta try to get into Mega Man with a significantly more clear head if I'm even gonna try to touch that with a 39.5-foot pole.
But you know what we're not touching with a 39.5-foot pole?
Gambling! Because that I am trying not to, but I have to actually thank EA, because you've pissed off so many people with your stupid, greedy actions that a lot of people are finally taking action against loot boxes. More specifically, the Hawaii State Representative Chris Lee. December 5th, there was a YouTube video uploaded about him and his, the article states it, his bill writing partners, about why the politician wants to take actions against such games like Star Wars. Now, reading through the article, there was one thing that I wanted to make sure gets stressed. The bill is not to be written to say that you cannot buy in-game items. For example, Lee mentions the example of buying an in-game sword for $200. That means that you have spent $200 and you definitely own that sword. You didn't spend $200 for a chance to get it.
And then instead you got a twig. And
the idea of, oh, well, I was just having bad luck. If I put in more money, I'll have an even better chance. And I think that's the pull away that you should definitely have with this particular piece. I think it's a great idea. I want this to go across the board. I have no problem with things like gambling to be regulated.
Because it's regulated.
And there can actually be consequences for, you trying to essentially cheat people out of how much ever money you get to cheat them out of. And yes, I do realize the other part of that argument is going to be,
keep your politics out of my games.
Or that it's always a choice. But going back to the net neutrality article that I made, there's no reason in video games that you should make a slow lane and a fast lane where you can get to the fast lane with money.
And it's a slight chance you'll be in the fast lane because you might not even get what you want versus just getting exactly what you paid for.
One quote that I wanted to pull away was this. Loot box game mechanisms are often styled to literally resemble slot machines and are made available to anyone in games on their mobile phones, consoles, such as the Xbox, PlayStation, and on home computers. This may explain why the American Psychological Association has identified Internet Gaming Disorder.
What?
Internet Gaming Disorder.
There we go.
As an emerging diagnosis which warrants further study in the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders. Unlike carnival games, collecting cards or similar purchases of chance, video games require active, lengthy participation during which consumers are exposed to psychological manipulation techniques which can result in real addiction and harm. The scale and ease of access to these games make addressing these concerns critical. Casinos have long been criticized for building a business model around the exploitation of psychological vulnerabilities in many people. These business models are now being replicated by the online gaming industry to do the same, right on the phones and in the home of countless families around the country. And one thing to note, when it's on the phones, think about how easy that is. Think about how easy it is to just pull out your phone. You got a notification, it buzzes. You got something that says, hey, your chance to get this has increased now, or during a holiday time, or realistically any season. It could be the summer solstice for all I care. There'll always be that extra incentive because it's right there. It's just a click of a button.
And not to mention, if you start going into other cultures and stuff, it's like, oh, it's this holiday in Japan. Hey, nerds, you wanna celebrate with us by spending all your money?
Like with this,
it's Golden Week in Japan.
I think that was Rose. Man, that was a video game that did something like that. Rose on Rush on 7 episodes. I don't even know if that MMO is still around anymore. But there
are plenty of mobile games in Japan that do that still.
And that's
not that I would know anything about that.
I really hate this meme and how it's used, but the sentence is true. Will someone please think of the children? Because
they're fine.
I mean,
they're going to learn to gamble anyway.
Well, I know, but let's not make it that easy on their phone. Let's not give them such easy access to make a very terrible decision without thinking it through. And
spending mommy's and daddy's credit card, like that kid who bought an Xbox with his mom's credit card. Oh, Lord Jesus. This is why I don't have kids right now.
This is why I only have one credit card. But moving on, we have our next story, which is, honestly, it's a bit complicated. So we have a fight of the cons, a
Comic-Con versus Comic-Con. You want to know which Comic-Con? Salt Lake Comic-Con and San Diego Comic-Con. The person that started this was San Diego Comic-Con. That's Rose City Comic-Con does yeah. So the thing is that San Diego Comic-Con is saying, hey, Salt Lake stole our phrase, stole our logo, and is trying to, become big and bad, and they can say Comic Convention instead of Comic-Con, because we did a study, and when people say Comic-Con, they think of us.
Okay, but if in order for something to have been stolen, as this article is talking about, how as hundreds of similar conventions sprang up in cities across the country, Salt Lake Comic Con tried to quote unquote hijack the trademark, to quote unquote steal the Comic Con brand. But in order for something to have been stolen, someone had to have owned it. And what I don't see in this is that the Comic-Con phrase, use, however you want to put it, was owned by anyone. Like, to say that it was just used by a small, intimate comic convention is, okay, so you were using it. You weren't the only ones who could use it. It's not as if it belongs to you. Other people can still use it. It's like when the Fine Brothers were trying to trademark React and how well that went. Like, lose subscribers by the minute. But that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Like, I can understand San Diego being upset since the logos kind of look similar, but that's as far as my sympathy goes, because Comic-Con, it's such a generic term. It has always been a generic term. It's not just becoming a generic term. It is it is shorthand for comic convention.
And it's just a whole lot easier to say that, make ads for it.
We have New York Comic Cons. We have, there's so many of them.
So how are you going to say that we, like, are you saying that to say, like, we are the first Comic Con? We are the best Comic Con?
Because you're not. Well, okay. Like I had explained to you earlier, behind scenes, San Diego Comic Con is, where the big boys go. Like, but I really feel like they have nothing to worry about if they're worried about their congoers being poached, because let's face it, they get a lot of people each year because they have a lot going on. So this honestly just looks like a money grab, and if they win this,
then I guess that's just going to be, I mean, realistically, they're going to be still doing the same convention. They just can't use the words Comic-Con. Will they be able to change it to Comic-Con, but then Con has a K on it? Like, I mean, if we really want to do it, like, oh, we didn't use Comic-Con.
Will San Diego Comic-Con go after New York's, for example? Because New York Comic-Cons are pretty big too. Will they go after anything with the word comic and convention in it?
I guess that's if they can.
Because if they can get the phrase Comic-Con, legally speaking, that means they can get a slice of the pie from every Comic-Con across America.
But that stops. All they got to do is really just change the name.
True, but
like
the fact that people would have to change their name because someone threw a hissy fit over someone else using a phrase that's not even their own. If they go down that route, I'm not worried, because it's very easy to just to get around that. I mean, how many parody channels do you see on YouTube or anything like that? Like, with something like this, it's like, okay, so you try to make money off this and make Comic-Con your own. I believe that people are going to see that as a significantly greedy grab. And if EA is any example, that doesn't go very well right now. Like, if you're going to try to do something like that, let the heat die down before you really try to grab at something like that, especially something that's a lot of people use very easily. Well, the closing statements, I think, happened today, so we will see what the juries decide.
All right, and now on to our unfortunate main story. One thing I want to preface with this particular story, that for anyone who, for all who are listening, SBR, Mr. Gamer, and Kitty Duval do not condone violence of anyone and any fashion, and are sympathetic to all of those of abuse and domestic violence. And with that, let's go into the craptastic, fear-mongering, stupid article written by the Daily Mail.
Oh.
So, the Daily Mail wrote a piece about a particular video game, Detroit Becoming Human. This video game has already had a lot of pre-orders, and there's a trailer about this game. You play an android who lives in this house. The male character in the male character in the trailer is presented as an abuser. He looks like it. He has all the telltale signs. In the trailer, he says the words, "Alice, Daddy's very mad." And the girl runs upstairs. He says his line. He goes to follow. With this particular game, it's about choices. Or not even about actions. It's about choices. What you choose to do. So, in the video, there's particular, you can see different sides of what you can do as the android. You could watch as the father goes upstairs. You can literally just stand there and watch. You could do nothing. You can go find a gun and kill him. You can try to rescue the girl and run away. There are consequences for every action that you make in this game. Unfortunately, the Daily Mail had to present this as, oh, look, video games are terrible. Look what video games are promoting now. They're basically saying that it's completely fine for you to let men beat on little girls and women, and that this is completely normalized. Oh no, video games are so bad once again.
To be perfectly fair, it is pretty triggering for some people, obviously. But typically in these type of games where you get a choice, people like feeling like they're a hero.
But what the article loves to really just paint that brush is that this video game is repulsive because actually I think that's a good question. This video game is repulsive because
a kid's getting beaten to death. That is why this video game is repulsive. Because, I think, according to one of the psychological things in the UK, one of the children welfare people, feels like...
yes. Esther Rantzin.
This isn't just savage, it's highly dangerous. Now, I read over this a couple of times, and it's not like I don't understand where they're coming from, because normalizing anything like this is bad. It's the same as normalizing, rape or things like that. But, and I hold that all in the same category, quite honestly. Violence is violence is violence. But what I will not stand by in saying is that video games is the only media that does this, because we have movies and TV shows, and it's the whole Grand Theft Auto thing all over again. Because it's pretty much like you're saying this particular thing, video games is the reason this is the way it is. When in reality, all of our media across the board and how we as a human species consume it. Common sense tells us this isn't good, but people love pain porn, and this is exactly what that is. It's one of those tearjerker things. People like these type of things. So, it gets made. People like to feel like they're the hero. And if they have a choice to save a innocent little girl from a obviously abusive father, they're going to do it. Just like in Undertale when people decided, you know what, I'm not going to kill Goat Mom because I love Goat Mom.
I guess my thing is how, once again, it's easy to go after video games. And even this particular person, this psychologist, states that criminals who attack children often create similar fantasies in their imaginations before they act them out. Such a criminal will regard this game as a validation.
And they would. People do this. That is a legit scientific thing. Everything. But again, how can I put this? You're taking the blame off of them yourselves and blaming media and gaming and not the person. You're not holding that human being doing the thing in real life to the standards of they need to be a decent human being.
It's like if someone, so if someone shoots another person, do we blame the person or do we blame the gun?
Well, them gun lovers are going to say it's the person behind the gun, so is it not the same concept?
Like, I don't really understand. So, and I am happy about David Cage. He wrote and directed the game, and he obviously defended it. He said that if you really look into the game and you play, you understand the game is not about domestic abuse. It's part of the android. The android's name is Kara's story. She's not a victim. She has choice. She has agency. You can do something. You are not helpless in the sense of you can't do anything about it. There are many scenes in video games where you cannot move and you just simply watch the terrible things happen. And there's absolutely nothing you could do about it. What was that beautiful video game? The Last of Us.
Oh, my heart.
My
heart.
That was that was absolutely terrible to watch Joel's family like, oh, well, they're dead. They're dead and there's absolutely nothing you could do about it.
God, that was the start.
And that was the start of the video game. But if we are to say that we cannot have any video game where there are actions like this that we see and hear about in everyday life.
I think, honestly, people would feel differently if it was a man or...
If it was not a child?
If it was not a child.
If it was not a child, of course.
But then it was touched based on it being a woman. I personally think, and this is just me as trying to keep my opinions as just that, but I personally feel like a lot of this would not be blown to such extremes if it was a, say, gay couple abusing somebody, or essentially if the genders were swapped.
Because
the other argument I've seen about games like this and things like this is that why is it always the woman shown in a weakened state? Why is it the woman who has to overcome? I agree to an extent. It does get kind of boring when it's like, oh yay, she has to overcome this big strong dude. Whatever will she do? Shoot him. Boom. Not to make light of it, but when it comes to media and stuff like that, that does get boring. For me. As far as the story goes. Like, if it has no point to the story, then I think that's when it's pointless, When the violence has no point to the story, it's pointless, and I do feel like if they went a different route, this would have been handled differently by these people.
I definitely feel as if there wouldn't be a whole lot of outrage had the roles been reversed. Honestly, I think there would have been some people who would have been happy to see that, but not happy in the sense of yay equality, happy in the sense of, beat that man. I'm gonna be honest about that one. What I will also say is that once again, this is a terrible article written by a terrible company that really just wanted to make some people mad, get some clicks and get some shares. Congratulations, you got it. I obviously don't condone violence at all. Like, violence only begets more violence, but I do realize that there are just some really crappy people in the world, like the author of this article. And
people who will try to take this as validations for their actions,
and it's just not, because I want you to look at so if that's the case, then we need to get rid of every single Stephen King novel. No. I'm not saying we need to get rid of video games and stuff like that. No, but the argument made here is that video games like this give people who want to do terrible things that are done in the video games, they want to do them in real life. So if the argument is that we need to get rid of that, well then why don't we do it across all media? Why don't you stop going after video games? Why don't you realize that video games, like art, they are a reflection of things that happen in real life? And that the point of this is not, oh, man beats child. It's your
android.
It's choices, no matter if it's action or inaction have consequences. I think that's the point that the trailer was making. I will be playing this video game. I will be reviewing this video game.
Mean, you have fun with that.
Well, yes. I realize that this game does not necessarily give off the happiest of vibes, but I'm not expecting for every single choice that I have to make in this, similar to the game PS4, the video game Heavy Rain on the PS4. I'm not expecting for everything to be that dark and that heavy. But if it's a good story behind it, I'm gladly behind it. Just stop taking pot shots at video games all the time, Daily Mail. But congratulations. You know how to write it. You know that, man.
That whole title.
That whole complicated title.
But,
It raised its point. It raised its point. Video games are bad.
Okay, aside from that point, the other points are things that are valid, but they need to be held to all forms of everything that we do as consumers and everything, versus just this one thing. But I guess it's easier to go after one thing and then worry about everything else versus...
I mean, you're not going to
doing it across the board?
Yeah, because you're not going to go after books. You're not going to go after movies. But video game companies are bad. Blah, blah, blah. So you know what? I've said my piece. I think I'm definitely not trying to get too heated and have this go on.
You want to end this on a happy note?
Sure.
Okay, I'm enjoying Animal Crossing.
You know what? Yay! Yay, Animal Crossing. And I'm enjoying Xenoblade Chronicles. And the expansion came out for Destiny 2, Curse of Osiris, so I'm having fun with that. So you know what? Yay, positivity. But hey, guys, as always, let me know what you think about it in the comments section. I really want to know your thoughts. Talk to me, because we also have that giveaway.
Oh, yes, we do. Like, y'all really need to start hopping on that. I worked really hard to put that together. And Not that I'm mothering you or anything, but do it.
But I'm just saying, you guys also, I just want to know who doesn't like to get free money. You don't have to do anything. It's just free money.
You just have to go to our Facebook page. You don't even have to like the Facebook page. You just have to
share it. Well, you just have to
the post.
Yeah, share the post with the moment. Boom, you're in the running to get free money.
Man, you
Bam.
can just talk about this thing you just heard and say the most favorite part of it was when Mr. Gamer didn't rage for once against EA. Then growl.
So, guys, definitely get on that. And with that being said, this is Mr. Gamer.
And I'm Kitty Laval.
Signing off.